Hello students, once again welcome in my video lecture. Myself is Ravindra Budwan sir from Sri Tilok Jain Higher Secondary Vidyalaya Pathradi. Dear students, in such videos we study various topics in detail from 12th chemistry as well as 11th chemistry. Now here today we are going to study the topic of 12th science chemistry subject. This is the very important topic in the chemistry as well as in our day-to-day life. Now here you can see on the slide there are different molecules in their chemical composition or structural form as well as in the pictorial form. These are the molecules which are very large in their structure or complicated structures. Many particles, many molecules are gathered together. Here it is a large molecule which is elongated. From this molecule you might imagine that these molecules are DNA, RNA, or these are the different larger molecules having high molecular weight compounds, that is they are involved or present in the bodies of living systems. As we know, for example, RNA or DNA are the nucleic acids which are responsible for transformation of genetic information from one generation to another generation. Then the larger molecules having high molecular weight, they are composed of many smaller particles, smaller molecules. They are also, here you can see on the slide, and such molecules are carbohydrates, they may be proteins, they may be lipids, they may be oils, fats, or enzymes, vitamins. So all these molecules from this picture you can imagine that these molecules are of very importance in our day-to-day life as well as for living beings, for living their life. We know without biomolecules the life is not possible and therefore from 12th science subject chemistry we are going to study the chapter biomolecules today. We are going to start with this chapter today, biomolecules. Now what are biomolecules? Biomolecules are the substances which are present in the bodies of living systems, that is maybe animals, plants, or microorganisms, and the molecules or the chemical compounds which involve in the various biochemical processes or physiological processes of the living beings. Also some of these compounds are involved in the structural formation of the living beings also. So these are of utmost importance in our life. The concepts which are to be studied in this chapter are carbohydrates, then proteins, enzymes, and nucleic acids. We know there are many types of biomolecules such as lipids are there, vitamins are there, hormones are there, but in this chapter we are going to study these 4 types of biomolecules: carbohydrates, proteins, enzymes, and nucleic acids. We are going to study these biomolecules one by one. We shall go to the first type of biomolecules, that is carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, this word indicates these are the compounds which are composed of carbon and water molecules. Carbo for carbon, hydrate means water molecules, but it was believed initially that such compounds, these compounds are composed of carbon and water molecules from their molecular formulae. But nowadays it is clear that these compounds chemically do not contain water molecules. They contain the elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But even though they are as usual known as carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, now what are chemically carbohydrates? By the view of chemistry, if you see the structures of carbohydrates, then we come to know that carbohydrates are polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones. Polyhydroxy Poly means many, more than one. Hydroxy means hydroxyl group, OH group. Aldehyde, you know, the compounds containing CHO, formyl group as a functional group, and ketones, the compounds containing keto group, that is C double bond O group, also known as oxo group as a functional group. So carbohydrates are polyhydroxy aldehydes or polyhydroxy ketones. So they may be aldehydes or ketone, but polyhydroxy, they may be aldehyde containing more than one hydroxyl group, or they may be ketones containing more than one hydroxyl group, or not only such compounds, not only polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones, but they may be the compounds which on hydrolysis yield such units. That is, if we hydrolyze the compound and if we obtained polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone on hydrolysis of that compound, then it is also carbohydrate. So overall we can say carbohydrates are polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones or compounds which on hydrolysis produce such units, yield such units. Such units means here polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones. General formula of carbohydrates can be written as CxH2OY. That means the molecular formula of any carbohydrate, it can be written in this format, that is X number of carbon and Y number of water molecules. But even though I told you that there are no water molecule in the chemical composition of carbohydrates, but the molecular formula can be formulated in this format, that is X number of carbon, whatever number of carbon will be there, and Y number of water molecules, the different number or maybe same number of water molecules. That means we can say that the molecular formula of carbohydrate will be CxH2Y OY. This will be actual molecular formula of any carbohydrate, general molecular formula CxH2Y OY, but we can write in this format CxH2OY, and this is the reason why initially they were known as carbohydrates, and from that name today also they are known as carbohydrates. So this is the definition of carbohydrates. Now here you can observe the picture. The sources of carbohydrates are shown here. Different sources, different fruits are there. Banana is there, maize is there, different pulses are there, then wheat, rice, they are also sources of carbohydrates. Then different peanuts, tomato, these are the sources of, natural sources of carbohydrates. Now we shall go to the next topic, classification of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are classified into three main classes based upon the number of single sugar units present in that particular carbohydrate. A single sugar unit is known as saccharide. Single sugar unit, it is known as saccharide. Then first class of carbohydrates is monosaccharides. Mono means one or single. Mono means one or single. So those carbohydrates which are composed of only one sugar unit, that is saccharide unit, are known as monosaccharides. That means they are simple carbohydrates. They cannot be hydrolyzed further to obtain the simpler molecules of the carbohydrates. So they are simplest. So monosaccharides, they contain or they are composed of only one monosaccharide unit. The examples are glucose, fructose, galactose. These are the examples of monosaccharides. The molecular formula of monosaccharides is always C6H12O6. Structures may be different, but molecular formula is C6H12O6. Second class of the carbohydrates is oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are the carbohydrates which are composed of 2 to 10 monosaccharide units, which are made up from or made up by combining 2 to 10 monosaccharide units. On the other hand, we can say that the carbohydrates which on hydrolysis yield 2 to 10 monosaccharide units are known as oligosaccharides. The simple oligosaccharides are disaccharides, trisaccharides and tetrasaccharides. From this name we can imagine that the disaccharides are the carbohydrates which on hydrolysis yield 2 monosaccharide units. The examples are sucrose. For example, sucrose on hydrolysis yield glucose and fructose molecules. Then maltose which on hydrolysis yield 2 glucose molecules. Lactose which on hydrolysis yield 1 glucose and 1 galactose molecule. So these are disaccharides made up of 2 sugar units or saccharides. The molecular formula of disaccharides is C12H22O11. Since they are synthesized or prepared by combining 2 monosaccharide units, the molecular formula should be double. But when 2 molecules combine, 1 molecule of water is given out here. Therefore, the molecular formula here becomes C12H22O11. Then trisaccharides. Tri means 3. The carbohydrates or oligosaccharides which on hydrolysis yield 3 saccharide units are known as trisaccharides. The example is raffinose. The molecular formula of trisaccharides is C18H32O16. Because 3 molecules are combined here, so 18 carbons are there. 6 into 3, so 18. But 2 water molecules are given out while forming this trisaccharide from 3 monosaccharide units. Therefore, the molecular formula is C18H32O16. Then tetrasaccharides. Tetra means 4. The oligosaccharides are the carbohydrates which on hydrolysis yield 4 saccharide units are known as tetrasaccharides. Example is statuose. Molecular formula is C24H42O21. On hydrolysis, statuose yields 1 glucose molecule, 1 fructose molecule and 2 galactose molecules. So 4 monosaccharides are obtained on hydrolysis. Therefore, it is called as tetrasaccharide. The example is statuose. In the raffinose, on hydrolysis, raffinose, that is trisaccharide, yields 1 glucose molecule, 1 fructose molecule and 1 galactose molecule. So this is the second class of carbohydrates, that is oligosaccharides. Now third class of the carbohydrates is polysaccharides. Poly means more than 1. But here 2 to 10 units they are combined, then we say oligosaccharide. Therefore, we can say polysaccharides are the carbohydrates which on hydrolysis yield large number of monosaccharide units. Large number here means more than 10, but it will be very, very large. It may be thousands of monosaccharides or lakhs of monosaccharides will be there. So the carbohydrates which on hydrolysis yield large number of monosaccharide units are known as polysaccharides. The examples of polysaccharides are starch, cellulose and glycogen, which we are going to study in further lectures. Next topic is nomenclature of monosaccharides. IUPAC name of monosaccharide is written somewhat in different way, because we know that there are common names of monosaccharides which we know, but IUPAC names are given in different way. So IUPAC name of monosaccharide is particularly glycose. Here OSE, it indicates sugar molecule, but glycose, so IUPAC name of monosaccharide, any monosaccharide, it is glycose. Monosaccharide with one aldehydic group, it is aldose. It is called as aldose. So monosaccharide with one formyl group, that is aldehydic CHO group, it is called as aldose, because aldehydic group is there, and OSE, that is sugar. So aldose, sugar with aldehydic group. Monosaccharide with one ketonic group, it is called as ketose. In IUPAC system, it is called as ketose. Then From the number of carbon atoms present in aldose or ketose, they are again further named as the aldohexose. Here hex means 6, so aldose with 6 carbon atoms. The example of such type of aldose is glucose. We know molecular formula C6H12O6, and glucose contains aldehyde group. It contains 6 carbon atoms, so its name is aldohexose, glucose. Similarly, there may be aldopentose, aldotetrose, etc. Then ketohexose, the ketose with 6 carbon atoms, that is the sugar with ketonic group having 6 carbon atoms, it is called as ketohexose. The example is fructose with molecular formula again C6H12O6. Fructose is the example of ketohexose. Here ketonic group is present in fructose, ketonic group, CO group. In glucose, aldehyde group is present, C double bond OH, aldehyde group, that is formyl group. So glucose is aldohexose, whereas fructose is ketohexose. So these are some IUPAC names of the simpler monosaccharide compounds. We shall stop here. You see my further videos for different various topics in the chemistry. Thank you very much.